It's just named Mayor Parker, or
We should.
I can't fill those shoes.
Go together, and you just more synchronous spin.
Then is 1, 2, 3 then go, or 1, 2 go? You gotta train me here, right?
well, I will go that way.
Okay.
3 you.
right.
I will be.
So we'll just-
I will be absent.
There he comes, here he
Is
comes.
10? Are you 10?
There he comes.
Does he look? He looks 10.
It's sunburn.
What?
You don't
What?
get that from Zen.
What is?
It's driving Frank. It's a prank. Frank coming.
Top 10?
Top.
Wow. Do you have your top 10?
Of course. It's above 32.
Run the heat.
LBI, here you come.
You got. Ready? Okay. Want to take the roll call?
Committeeman Hickey,
Here.
Mayor Jacobs,
Here.
Ms. Christie. Here. Mr. Strakoff, Mr. Rodelius,
Here.
Mr. Leonard.
Here.
Mr. DiGiovanni.
Here.
Mr. Travellini, Mr. Zupnik,
Here.
Ms. Petrus. Here. And Committeewoman Gotchall.
Here.
Adequate notice of this meeting of the Bedminster Township Land Use Board was filed with the Township Clerk and sent to the Burnsville News and the Courier News and to all subscribers and posted at the Township Municipal Building, 1 Miller Lane, Bedminster, New Jersey, on January 11th, 2019.
Please stand for the flag salute.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have minutes from our December 13th, 2018. You've had a chance to read them. Could we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
I need to abstain because I wasn't.
You were not here, right? Abstain. Anybody else?
I was not here either.
On the 13th, you weren't here? Okay. Everybody else is okay? Okay, and January 10th, 2019.
So moved.
Need a
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone abstain? Motion's approved. Okay, we have a resolution, 2019-004, and I'm not sure what that is. Let's see.
I think it's the resolution adopting the annual report.
Oh, right, yes, right. I got it. Mhm. Okay. So we'll need a motion to approve our report.
I'll make the motion. Seconded.
Do we need roll call or? Roll call?
Yes, it's a resolution.
Right, roll call.
Committeeman Hickey,
Aye.
Mayor Jacobs,
Aye.
Ms. Christie. Aye. Mr. Rodelius.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. DiGiovanni.
Aye.
Mr. Zupnik.
Aye.
Ms. Petrus. Aye. And Chairwoman Gotchall.
Aye. Okay, Paul, you got here just in time.
Yeah. Not quite. Good evening, everybody.
Yeah.
Sorry. As I said, Frank wasn't going to be here, so I had to be late. The first application for completeness is the Wheeler application. I wrote a memo dated January 30th in which I identified a number of items that needed to be submitted prior to the application being heard, some that could be a condition of any approval, and finally some checklist items that could be waived. I will unfortunately tell you that I did not get in until late last night. It was delayed by the weather, and I don't know if there's anybody here representing the Wheeler application. And frankly, if you can tell me that you've submitted the items that I identified, specifically the items 1, 3, 14, 15, and 30, which are the corrected application form, the digital plan, the certificate of ownership, the copies of the deeds, and the list of properties. Have they been submitted?
Yes, they have. Yeah, by letter February 6th, I emailed it. Mr. Miller dropped off the deed personally.
As I said, I've been out since the 5th. I did not see any of those documents. Didn't get a chance to look at them today. But I would take it on that representation, and obviously we can check to see that if there's anything missing, that can be clarified. Based on that, I don't have an objection to the waivers being granted and the application being deemed complete.
Okay. Was there a site plan for this, Paul?
There was a variance plan that was submitted. It was part of the architecture. And then there's subsequent data that came in. There was an additional driveway plan that was submitted as well. Did the board members get that?
I don't believe so.
It was a single sheet site plan.
No, I did not get that.
5 sheets.
I got the architect plans, that's it, Paul.
Okay, good. I'm looking at the transmittal dated the 8th. It said that there were 4 copies submitted. So there weren't enough copies submitted for the board.
I see.
There's a report from Vanish as well.
Yeah,
Yes. So, okay, that's the dated the 7th. Okay, showed 11 there. I actually don't see those extra copies in the plan or in the file here. It's got Trina's file. I don't know where they went to. Obviously,
Well, do you have copies with you, or can we look at those? Because,
I know the applicant has it here. A small size copy could be handed around to the board members if you
All
want
right.
to see that once we get into the substantive hearing on the application, if you want
Okay.
to deem it complete. But there is
Right,
there is a plan here. I have it in my hand that shows what it is.
okay. But we did not get it. No.
If they can get a copy, that'd be great.
Paul, do you have the notice, copies of the notices that went out?
I have an affidavit of proof of service, and I have copies of the certified receipts.
Is this property adjacent to the Chester Township line?
I don't believe it is. I don't know. I have to look at that. Obviously, if it's adjacent to the Chester Township line, it's got to have notice of the Chester Township as well. Let's go through this before we get to the substantive part of the application. We'll check the tax map to confirm that.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be jurisdictional, so.
Right.
Mr. Mayor, do you have some reason to believe it is adjacent?
No, I just, it's awful
Close.
If you want to just take a 5-minute break, I can run and go look at the tax map. Be back momentarily.
Do you have a copy of the tax map with you? For a jurisdictional issue, it's probably best if you find that out.
Okay.
You verify it?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll take a 5-minute break and we'll come back. Sorry, what?
notes on Paul's letter was the application.
Oh, yeah, I did. I'll come back to it. I will.
The application.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know,
This is Trina's actual file.
we do get to everybody. Okay.
For your contacts, let them know.
I skip over that every damn time, you know?
Delivery.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I always forget to, you know why? I should have, you see public comments and there isn't anything under it. So I skip over it all the time. Like your ordinances, nothing, master plan, nothing.
Is there any like Robert's rules of order that tells you where you're supposed to put that?
Apparently not. Yeah, they're trained.
I'll check with Paul.
When he says that,
She must,
I'll check with him.
the answer's no. What's the question?
that's the application.
Oh, I didn't see it,
That's what's going on over there.
but that doesn't mean anything.
No,
That's not
I can't believe that.
I know. I know.
It's about 700 feet from the municipal boundary.
Okay. We're back in business here. So Paul, your conclusion here, if you,
Subject to the waivers, the application can be deemed complete.
okay. We need a roll call on that?
Defer to Dave.
1 second, please.
Do you usually go roll call on completeness?
Yeah, I believe we do.
Then yes.
It's not a
Committeeman
site
Hickey?
plan.
Aye.
Mayor Jacobs?
Aye.
Ms. Christie?
Aye.
Mr. Rodelius?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. DeGiovanni?
Aye.
Mr. Zupnik?
Aye.
Ms. Petrus?
Aye.
Chairwoman Gutschall?
Aye.
Thank you.
Next application is the Christie application, Block 2, Lot 28. This is for a variance on Fairview Drive. I wrote a letter dated February 1st. There were a number of items for which waivers were requested, and I have no objection to those, and based on that, it's my recommendation that the application be deemed complete.
And we have a site plan on that as well?
Yes.
Because we didn't get copies of that either. You did?
Yeah, they were,
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
There were plans by Parker Engineering and architectural plans.
Sorry,
With the
sorry.
black bound border.
Sorry, I do have that, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm all right. A little confused. Okay, so we need a roll call on that as well.
Committeeman Hickey?
Aye.
Mayor Jacobs?
Aye.
Ms. Christie?
I abstain.
Mr. Rodelius?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. DeGiovanni?
Aye.
Mr. Zupnik?
Aye.
Ms. Petrus?
Aye.
And Chairwoman Gutschall?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, and Country Club 305?
Chair, this is an application for a subdivision of property on Country Club Road. Fortunately, I had a new administrative assistant start last week and nothing was in the file. So you can tell I'm having a good day so far. I wrote a letter to you.
Yeah,
I had reviewed the application for completeness, frankly, I don't remember the date of the letter, but it was, the application was complete with a couple of waivers, and they're routine waivers relative to stream data where areas of the streams are not being impacted, bonding for improvements, and obviously we don't do that till the application is coming in for final, and they're requesting preliminary and final at the same time.
and so you feel you can deem it to complete?
My recommendation that the application, subject to the waivers identified in the Gladstone Design letter dated January 18th, 2019, subject to those waivers, the application be deemed.
Okay, roll call?
Committeeman Hickey?
Aye.
Mayor Jacobs?
Aye.
Ms. Christie?
Aye.
Mr. Robilius?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. DeGiovanni?
Aye.
Mr. Zupnik?
Aye.
Ms. Petrus?
Aye.
And Chairwoman Betchel.
Aye.
And we'll have to schedule that one for completeness. We can talk about that later.
Okay, okay,
All right, schedule for the hearing.
okay. I'm going to back up just a minute and just open it up to the public if there's anybody that has anything that they would like to talk about that is not on the agenda. Yes? Yes, please, step up.
It's under the new hearings, 11A.
Excuse me?
New hearings, 11A. Would you speak to that?
Oh, yeah, this is about the Lamington Farm? Yes, well, that's on the agenda.
That'll be heard in a few minutes.
Yes, yes. There's anything that's not on the agenda at this time. Okay?
Be heard now, actually.
Anyone else? No? Okay, so then I believe we are ready for Lamington Road.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. Michael Avery from the firm of Lavery, Salvaggi, Abramitis & Cohen, representing Lamington Farm Club. I am hoping this will be a relatively straightforward application. What we're seeking to do basically is put lighting at the paddle tennis courts in the parking lot there, some lighting around the cottages, and lighting in the main parking lot, as well as some curbing in one of the existing parking lots. I have with me tonight Rob Michello from Gladstone Design. He's a professional engineer who you've seen here many times before. And we have with us Rob Wagner from Lamington Farm Club for any factual questions. I believe there was a recommendation that we be deemed complete.
That was done at the
That
last
was done at the last meeting? Okay, great. So without any further ado, I'd like to have the witnesses sworn in, and then we can get Mr. Michello to give a brief overview and then get into what we're looking to do.
Okay?
You just want to stand and raise your right hand, please. You swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, you state your full name and spell your last name for the record, please.
Robert Moscello, MLS, CHELLO. Robert Wagner, WAGNER.
I assume the board doesn't need to qualify Mr. Michello, and that they'll accept him
Thank you.
as a
We'll accept
qualified
him.
engineer.
We recognize it. Thank you.
All right, Rob, if you could just give an overview of the project and what we're looking to do
Yes.
here.
Is this easel fine here, or should I move it back a little bit more?
Well, you can see if we can move it back maybe just a tad. Yeah.
Stay. Just give me one moment, I got my own.
Oh,
Want some
okay.
lawyer's help on that, Rob?
No, that's all right.
Familiarity is a good thing.
What?
Familiarity is a good thing.
Yeah.
All right, so I have a couple of exhibits I'll go through this evening just to present the application.
Why don't we name them and number them?
All right, so A-1 is entitled Aerial Exhibit dated February 14th, 2019.
Okay.
And what we're essentially looking at here is the 2015 state aerials. And just to give everyone just a reference as to the location of where these individual projects are on the property. North being up on the plan, Lamington Road being on the north side of the plan, Capelthwaite Road, which bisects the golf course, and then Old River Road on the south side of the plan. Elizabeth Lane going across on the east side of the plan. The entry to the golf club is off of Lamington Road. The main driveway comes in, and then you have the main clubhouse in the middle of the property with the pool complex just to the north of that. And when you drive in off the main drive, you have the, what we'll call the paddle tennis complex that was completed approximately 2 years ago, which was the old equestrian facility, if you will, on the property, and that was it completed, like I said, about 2 years ago. And so the subject of the application this evening is the area by the paddle tennis, an area around the clubhouse by the men's locker room and the women's locker room, and the area around the pool complex and cottages, and that we're also doing some work there as well. So.
A2 is what?
A2 is entitled Paddle Tennis Parking Lot Rendering, and it's dated February 14th, 2019. This is a rendering of the site plan, the plan you have in your drawing set there, that shows basically what we have here is the main entrance drive on the bottom of the plan. When you come in, you have the paddle tennis building, which is the old barn building that was converted into the warming facility for the paddle tennis courts, which are constructed. You have the old riding rink that's there now. The tee boxes for the three on the for hole 3 is just to the north of that, and you have the existing parking lot that's currently there today next to the warming hut, which has 2 entrances and exits into it. What we're looking to do is right now it's a parking lot that's been base paved, and what the applicant wishes to do is install curbing on the parking lot to formalize it, clean up some of the edges that are out there now, and formalize the parking lot by curbing it, striping it, and then providing stormwater management to meet the requirements. As Mr. Ferraro pointed out in his review letter, we'll meet the requirements for the major development standards for stormwater management. And we'd like to install lighting on the parking lot. Because again, this parking lot's used in the evening hours for the paddle tennis in the wintertime. And the paddle tennis goes to 10 o'clock in the evening, and then usually the members or guests are leaving after that, so the lights would be on until an hour after close of business, which would be 11 o'clock. And for safety purposes, we would need to have lights in the parking lot for the members and guests that are using this facility. So I have another exhibit here, which we'll entitle A3. And this is paddle tennis parking lot lighting exhibit, also dated February 14th, 2019. Just shows the paddle tennis courts here on the plan. And then here we have 7 pole-mounted parking lot lights that we're proposing for the parking lot. There are some existing lights mounted on the building today by the entrance to the building, but we're adding these proposed 7 lights to illuminate the parking lot. They are standard, typical, sort of a colonial style, but not quite, parking light that's an LED style light. So that means, and the lights themselves, or the LED lights, are actually in the hood. So this is actually clear that you see through there. There's no actual bulb there anymore. Now the lights are in the top. So they're technically a full cutoff, dark sky compliant fixture where the lighting shines completely down onto the pavement surface. In terms of lighting levels, we have just under a 1 foot candle average for this area, so we can comply with your ordinance requirements. For lighting purposes, and as mentioned, the lights will be turned off no later than 11 o'clock once all the members and guests have left this area.
What's the height of the light, Rob?
Thank you. Yeah, the height of the light is 15 feet, 2.5 inches measured from grade, which is also in compliance with your ordinance standards for lighting. The next area that we're going to be looking at, and this will be A4.
Yes.
And it's entitled Cottage Complex Lighting Exhibit, also dated February 14th, 2019. This is the pool complex on the property where we have the existing cottages that surround the pool complex and the bistro that's there as well. This was constructed back in 2006. When it was constructed then, there was bollard lighting that was installed around the pool complex. Unfortunately, that bollard lighting has actually started to rot out at the base of the lights, so they'd like to go in and replace the bollards with all new ones, both in the pool complex, and also there's a cart path that goes around the building that's used by not only employees but also member guests that stay at the cottages. There's actually a small parking lot in this back corner over here that's used by employees, members, and guests, and so this walkway gets used quite a bit in the evening hours, and so they would also like to install lighting around that walkway. So what we're doing is we're installing some bollards along the walkway. There's 5 of those, and then we're also going to install 7 pole-mounted lights, the same style that we're proposing in the parking lot for the paddle tennis in this area as well. Now the pole lights will be turned off at 11 p.m. or close of business. The bollard lights will stay on from dusk to dawn to illuminate the pathway lighting. Again, because this facility, because you have the cottages here, it's used 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And the last board that I have is going to be A5, which is the clubhouse area lighting exhibit, also dated February 14th, 2019. This is the area around the clubhouse. So when you come in the main drive, you have the courtyard area here that's in front of the clubhouse, and the clubhouse building is here. You have the men's locker room building and car storage to the northeast of the clubhouse, and then you have the women's locker room, and then the pro shop is here as well. There is lighting, there's some lighting in front of the clubhouse, and then you have lighting in the existing parking lot just past these facilities. And there is some floodlights and I'll say sconce lighting on the existing buildings, but there's not enough pavement lighting both in these two areas. In this area, because of the interaction with the cars that come in and out of here, the valets that are there, and with the activities that go on here, in the evening hours, it's unfortunately dimly lit. So we're proposing those same, we're proposing 6 of the same style lights that we have in the other 2 areas, the pole-mounted lights in this area to fill in the gaps where it's sort of dark in the evening hours. And again, those lights would be turned off either at 11 p.m. during normal weekly hours, and then at the close of business on the weekends, they do have events there, which may go past 11, so they'd be turned off an hour if those events finish on the weekends. So essentially, that is the scope of the application.
Board, any questions about the lighting?
Just a quick question, the lighting is on a mechanized timer or something? Does it go off at around 11 o'clock?
They won't be on photo cells, they'll be on timers that are turned on and off by the club, correct?
Perfect.
Anybody else have
I have a
questions?
question.
Yeah, Lou?
Will this meet security purposes when government officials are here at the club?
Technically, yes.
Is there a separate need for that? I think that's what I'm asking while you're doing this application.
Oh, it's really for both, actually. It's for the club members themselves and also in certain areas for security purposes for government officials.
Anyone else from the board? No? I'll open it up to the public. You have any questions? Yes, come on up. Put your name and address, please.
Hi, happy Valentine's Day to all. Andrea Cacciarelli, 550 Lamington Road. I own 2
I'm sorry,
properties.
can you spell your name, please, so she can get it down?
550 Lamington Road,
And your name?
Andrea Cacciarelli,
And spell the last, please?
Cacciarelli. I own 2 lots adjacent to Lamington Golf Club, Block 39, lots 5 and 6. And I would not like to see any large increase in lights, any increase in noise, traffic, cars, or a parking lot next to my house. I don't want to see anything that would negatively impact the resale value of my property. I moved here to be in a rural area. I think we're very lucky to have the neighbors and the community that we have here, and I'm very happy to be living here. I did go to the town on Tuesday to look at the project that was being done, and they happened to close early because of the snow, because of the weather, so I was unable to look at the plans. I just want to make sure that my 2 lots are not going to have a negative impact on my property.
I understand. Can you tell us how close she might be to any of this lighting?
Sure. What's your lot numbers now, sir?
So on Block 39,
Block 39, this is block 39.
I own
5 and 6. That's 1302. That's 13. That's 12. I gotta go to a different map. Yeah, I think, actually,
I can find the machine.
5 and 6, isn't she?
Just right here.
5 and 6.
So in other words, here's the name.
Yeah, I don't have all the... Here's Calvin's Way.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, so you're...
I'm these 2.
Oh, you're this year, okay,
Okay,
okay.
that's okay.
Oh, okay, well, actually, I'll show you exactly where you are.
Yeah.
We found it.
Where's the lot?
I think you're good. Yep.
So, I'm gonna go back to Exhibit A1. Her properties that she's referring to are lots 5 and 6, which are on the southern, actually the western side of the property, past the golf course off of Lamington and Capitol Creek Road. So
Right.
You're right here. These are your 2 properties.
Correct.
And the lighting that we're talking about is probably about 2,500 feet, if not more, away from you. So with the woods and everything, you will not be impacted by the lighting of this application.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Well, just to follow up on that question, I think I remember when you first came in with the paddleball courts the first time, there was an indication that the lighting from the courts, and I think, George, that was one of your questions, whether the lighting from the paddleball courts would extend beyond or be viewable from any of the adjacent properties. And I thought you said at that time, based upon topography, that it wouldn't. But so if you just address that same question, not just for the additional lighting at the paddleball courts, but also at the two other locations.
Yeah, I think from that perspective, these two areas really, they're in the middle of the site. So you're really kind of not so much in a low point because the property's higher here and then it kind of goes down lower here and then kind of comes up again a little bit in terms of height. The lights around the clubhouse, part of them would be buffered by the buildings that are there. And again, you're higher up, so you're really not looking into the lights, you're way above the lights. And of course you have distance and landscaping. And then the bollard lights in the courtyard, you're certainly not going to see those at all. And then you have a small parking lot out here that you will have some filtered views of it from Cowperthwaite Road in the evening hours. But from the residents that are to the east, far east, and residents that are to the west, given distance and vegetation between them, you're not going to see those lights there.
Okay. Paul, you agree?
Yes.
Okay.
And these roads are style.
Okay, Rob, I think, thank you.
Okay, that concludes our presentation.
Oh, I thought you had another witness, no?
No, I had him just in case there was a fact question that Mr. Michelle or I couldn't
okay.
answer, so.
All right.
And he's addressed the hours of operation, generally speaking, and that's what we had.
Okay, all right.
I should just point out Mr. Farlow's review letter, that we have no objection to addressing the comments in his letter as conditions of any approval before the grant. Just want to put that on the
Okay. Paul, nothing else?
Nothing further.
And he's addressed the issues that Frank brought up. I don't think there's anything.
Yes.
Frank didn't have any
No.
issues of any significance.
No, I didn't see anything. Okay.
Yeah, he had asked about the lighting and then the stormwater, which we addressed.
Okay, I think we're ready.
If you want to frame a motion to approve, it would be a motion to approve the application for amended preliminary and final site plan approval, in addition to the usual conditions relating to payment of taxes and fees and securing any other agency approvals. It would also be conditioned upon complying with the recommendations set forth in Mr. Ferraro's report of January 30th, to the satisfaction of Mr. Ferraro. And if I heard the applicant correctly, and if the board is so inclined, you might also condition it on turning off all the lights at 11 o'clock that are the subject of this application, except for the bollarded lights, which stay on all night, and except for the clubhouse lights, whenever there's an event that goes beyond 10 or 11 o'clock, they would be on 1 hour after everyone leaves.
Okay. Okay. We need a motion?
So moved.
Roll call?
Mayor Hickey?
Aye.
Mayor Jacobs?
Aye.
Ms. Christie? Aye. Mr. Robilius?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. DeGenini?
Aye.
Mr. Zopnik?
Aye.
Petrus?
Aye.
And Chairwoman Gotchall?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, planning board, do you have any comments that anybody would like to make from the planning board? No?
I will just report that I've had, this is for continuation discussion of master plan issues. I had meetings with representatives from AT&T and from the Purnell School. And when the master plan committee reconvenes, I'll just discuss some of the items that were raised during this meeting.
Okay, are we ready to set a date or a time for that yet? Well, I was waiting for you to tell me that you were prepared, you were ready to
Oh, I'm
do
ready.
that.
I'm ready.
Okay, you
So-
had your meeting
Yeah.
and so forth.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
there'll
well
be
then-
more meetings coming up, but certainly, I think it's appropriate that we start scheduling.
Okay, all right. Maybe we'll get a hold of Rick since he is not here tonight, so we'll wait for Rick and George. We'll propose a couple of dates.
Okay, great.
Okay, and I'll be sure to do that. Okay, anybody else, planning board? Okay, I guess we are ready for the Wheeler. Wheeler? Wheeler.
And Madam Chair, Robin's making some copies of the...
This is Board of Adjustment, so I think...
These are, I believe these are C variances,
Yes.
Correct.
so...
So you can,
We're on.
So we're on,
you can stay.
yeah.
Madam Chair, Robin is making copies of the site plan.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
I'm turning notice in the dark.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, I think you need to be sworn in. The experts?
You want to enter your appearance first,
Yeah,
counsel?
that's fine. Madam Chairwoman, members of the board, I'm Richard Brightman. I represent the applicant, Robert and Carla Wheeler. There'll be two witnesses. Mr. Wheeler will testify, as well as Mike Torme is the architect. This is a simple side setback, C1 variance. As the testimony will show, there's an existing foundation on the property that my client intends, or if approved, will erect his personal residence.
You both want to, you're already standing. Raise your right hands, please, and repeat after me. You swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
I do. Could you each state your full name for the record, please, and spell your last name?
Robert Wheeler, W-H-E-E-L-E-R.
Yeah.
Michael Tormey, T-O-R-M-E-Y.
The board might want to qualify Mr. Tormey before you start any testimony.
I've been a licensed architect for approximately 30 years in the state of New Jersey. I also hold a license in New York.
Testified before boards.
Yes, I've testified before boards in Westfield, Branchburg.
Your license current?
Yes, my license is current, in good standing. Never had action against it.
Okay, the board will accept his qualifications.
All right, I'll start with Mr. Wheeler. Mr. Wheeler, you're a licensed contractor, correct?
Correct.
And you purchased this property to build your personal residence, correct?
Correct.
And since you purchased the property, you've examined the property, the foundation, and the septic system, and the other utilities on the property, correct?
Correct.
Could you explain to the board the condition of all those items that are currently on the property?
Currently on the property, there's an existing foundation that I had a structural engineer certify that it's intact to build on. I will copy that with the building application. There was a discussion prior to what I would need to get ahead of time. I've also had the existing septic system pumped out, the leach fields, and I've had that certified by a third party as well. That's existing for a 5-bedroom house. I believe we're looking to put in 3 bedrooms. We also have a well on the property that's functional. The well pump is a temporary in there to get water at 20 gallons per minute right now. The well's in satisfactory condition with plenty of pressure. There is also, utility-wise, underground electric transformer, and the temporary permit I put in for temporary electric is right to the side of the foundation. It's all underground. So that's been approved by JCP&L, and I believe that it's finalized as far as the pan getting put on, ready for temporary service. So the utilities are all intact. I have certifications for the utilities, and the foundation's in excellent shape, which I intend to build a house that my wife and I designed a while back that fit a walkout situation ranch house. This fit the bill. We just had to, make it work for this plan. It fit our need. It's exactly where we want to be, and we went ahead and purchased the property. We're very happy with the location. Just love the tranquility, the peace of the area, and looking forward to building our home.
Now, Mr. Wheeler, this is, I have copies for the board members. Can you identify this photograph?
Marked at A1.
A1.
This is the property that, before we had cleaned up some of the shrubbery, where you can see the actual existing foundation and 2 chimneys that are currently there. We intend on incorporating the whole foundation as per my architect's plans, with the modification of a garage that will encumber part of the existing garage footprint. And that's also noted on there. The property was in disarray for a while, so I've spent the better part of the winter cleaning it up. It's been a pretty big undertaking.
Council, you want to have him mark that A1, today's date on it, please?
As far as the growth and things of that nature, weeds, so we've gotten it to a point now where it's open and back to where it should be. The lot is clear. There's no trees that need to come down. That was obviously done on the build some 19 years ago. It's a nice open piece of land that we're looking to bring back to life.
Okay. Now, in terms of the septic and the electric, those utilities or those structures are in the within 100 feet of the site setback, correct?
That's correct. The transformer is probably the closest. It's up by the road, Longview Road. I would say, in my guesstimation, it's probably within 30 feet, if less maybe, of the existing property line. And then that runs down 150 feet from the transformer to the house. And the septic is to the right facing of the house. That's probably very close to 50 feet or 45 feet there, I would say, in my guesstimation. But there's 3 separate vessels, so the furthest being closest to the property would be about that far.
And in terms of the topography, looking at this picture, the back of the foundation is actually, looks to me like an above ground wall, correct?
3 sides are.
3 sides.
3 sides, or a good portion of the 3 sides. The rear is completely no soils, or it's unobstructed to an open patio. And the 2 sides slope down where grade is pretty much at the beginning of the front of the foundation. It's an elevated foundation, so it may be a couple of feet above, the basement might be a couple of feet below that point, and then it completely dies out till there's almost nothing at the back.
Now, in terms of if you had to reconstruct in compliance with the zoning ordinance, have you put together the items that would need to be reconstructed and the cost for that?
I put together a preliminary sheet of if I had to take everything apart from where I am right now and move approximately 1/3 of the house to get in compliance with the 100-foot offset, that I would have extensive amount of retrenching for the utilities, removing the septic, removing the house foundation about 1/3, chimneys, rear patio, rear fencing around the pool. It wouldn't just affect the foundation, it would affect everything. It would affect the driveway, it would affect the entire access to the site. Pretty costly in my terms. I've just put together preliminary potential hardship if I had to, endure going through complete changes. I've made some copies, just preliminaries. These are just average costs on projects I've done in the past. By no means an exact, science as far as the actual cost. They could be higher, they could be lower. But I pretty much have it rounded out to where we had to remove the existing septic system and backfill the areas, a labor and material breakdown, design a new system, engineered, install a new system, connect to existing leach field, which is up top. There's 2 leach fields up top, which have been pumped and cleared. There's a fine system up there.
Bless you.
New transformer, the trench, don't know where we'd even locate it if that was the case, because if that was also in the mix, it might have to go to the center front, which I have no idea what that would cost. It's in a wooded area. Installing new conduits in the ground, removing 8 foot of foundation outside the offset, which is about 22 feet. And that runs the long side, Mike, if you can show them the perimeter. If we were to go into the master bedroom area, it would take that complete right side completely out and go another 5 feet or so into the foyer, or where I would, on my plan, where we would have a foyer. Concrete basement floor would have to be removed, all the plumbing under slab, the chimneys, the pool patio. It would pretty much just domino effect every component going on down the line. Fence, pool area. Then I'd have to start over with additional professional fees, surveys, markouts, and start the process to redesign, new excavation, build back. It's a lot. It's a lot.
I think if you look at the memorandum from Mr. Banish, the bottom photograph on the front page is an aerial view of the foundation, the pool, and the surrounding area around it. You get an idea of basically a third of that foundation would have to be removed. Now, Mr. Wheeler, in terms of your neighbors, when you're on the property at the house, can you see either of your neighbors on either side?
Both the neighbors are in the rear part of the property, their dwellings, so the property slopes downward quite significantly, and they're quite a ways on a diagonal from each end if I was to sit in the middle of, say, the backyard. Right now, you could just see through the woods to one, but not to the other. The other one goes over a knoll that you can't see clear through.
Now, you and your wife have been looking for a particular piece of property for some time, correct?
For quite a few years.
And this is the one you finally settled on?
Yes, this is the one that we purchased in November.
Further questions I have?
Yeah, I have a question.
Go ahead.
What boundary is causing the difficulty? It's not all 4, so what part of the house is the area that's in the wrong spot?
It's the right side of the house. It's pre-existing, non-conforming side yard setback. It was permitted under the old.
Where the chimneys are?
Correct. It does comply by about 20 feet. It complied at the time of construction when it was built. So it's a pre-existing condition. The zoning was changed, and it's all applied down 20 feet.
Well, for the record, it appears that the witness is pointing to one sheet of the plans that have already been submitted. You don't have to mark it separately if it's identical, but I would just identify what it is.
And so the setback is supposed to be 100 feet, and it's about 80?
It's 77.40. 11 at the back and 83.90 at the front. One is there for an average.
Yep.
80 feet. So and that's the only variance condition of this application.
Do you know when this original home was built? And that
I believe 1999, I believe.
1999.
I went through the paperwork from originally, and in and around that range, it all started to come together, and I have septic.
Do you know
all.
if there was a variance granted at that time?
The existing zone back then was 50 foot,
So it was
So
conforming.
It was conforming.
Okay.
And it changed, I believe, I'm not positive, I believe in 2013, 14, but I'm not 100% positive.
And the original structure was destroyed by fire, correct?
Yeah.
So directly from the house to the right, to the property line, what is there in the other lot? Anything at all?
Woods.
Woods.
How close is the closest houses to this property? Do you, I mean, that's what I was, I went to the
through the
property and it
backyard.
was.
Backyard, it goes down into the back, so the property drops off, and they're both in the back bottom corner,
Yeah.
kind of my piece that tapers back, so.
A couple of 100 feet.
Oh, probably 6, 7, 800. I mean, they're quite a ways.
It looks like it's vacant. I was there at the property, so I was trying to see, you know, the terrain and see where the houses were there. It's
Understood.
difficult to see, obviously, from the street. You want to describe?
Mike, you want to just give an overview of the structure?
Can I ask
Yes,
a couple
Paul,
questions of
go-
the applicant?
Yes, go right ahead, Paul.
One question I have is, it looks like on your plans you're reusing the chimneys?
Our plan is to reuse the chimneys.
Are you going to be lowering them because it's only...
Well, we're going to probably have to lower the chimneys because of the 1.5 story height from where it was in 2.5.
They're very high.
Yeah, we would probably have to bring them down.
And then one of them has a fireplace on the second floor?
Exactly. And we checked the structural integrity too, as we find dilemmas along the way. We'll be addressing those issues.
Okay, so the chimneys will be revised to be proportional to the house and not stick.
Yeah, we don't want a 20-foot chimney sitting above the ridge.
The other is really a comment, and it relates to the septic system. Under the township ordinance, it's not just whether or not the septic system will handle the 3-bedroom house. Under the ordinance, if there's a substantial improvement to the dwelling, which means the improvement is worth more than 50% of the structure that's there now, which this certainly would be, the septic system has to be in compliance with the current code. Okay. So, or unless you get some sort of relief from the Board of Health. So you'll have to have your engineer look at that and come into the Board of Health and get an approval for that.
Yeah, we had spoken, or I'd spoken to the town originally about what I would need. I was told that the Board of Health and the septic would be, obviously the contingency upon getting the building
Okay,
side.
I just
But
wanted to make sure that...
How far? I mean, it was designed 19 years ago. I have all the paperwork on it. And again, guidance on what we need on the next level, I'll have to be addressing that with the town and Board of Health.
I just wanted to make sure that you're aware that it's more than just the letter from your engineer that's necessary. You actually will have to go see the Board of Health.
Sure.
Okay.
Paul, will they need to demonstrate not just one septic field, but a backup septic field as well?
It exists.
Yes, the current
It
code
does.
requires a primary and reserve.
Yep, they're both there.
But if it was done after 1990, I can tell you there was a primary and a reserve.
Okay.
There's 2 tanks.
That's,
And
we're not talking about the tank, we're talking about the disposal.
The system, yeah, the lead leach field up top. We can do that too.
Okay, want to continue?
Okay. If I could just walk you through some of the drawings here. This first sheet here is the basement foundation plan. And basically, the unshaded walls are long existing. This is part of the original structure. And we're actually utilizing 80 to 90% of the existing foundation walls. And only on the left side of the house, where some of the original foundation wall is deteriorated, we're actually constructing new foundation walls over there. So this is the front of the house here. These are the current projections of the foundations. The right side over here, this room goes back. This was a covered porch, which we're looking to rebuild as well. The second sheet is the actual first floor. And again, pretty much going with the original configuration of the house, the entering the house here with the doors that are located on the lower right-hand side of the foundation plan and come into the hall. And then this opens up into the family room and the kitchen. There's a master suite that is being constructed over on the right-hand side. And again, this is over the existing footprint of the house. There's a few bedrooms in the front. There's a hallway that runs down the middle, and that connects to the garage over here. And there'll be access door from the dwelling to the garage. There'll be one in the front here. There's 3 doors in the front. There's access out to this covered porch from the kitchen, from the dining room. On sheets A4 and A5, it shows the elevations. So this is on sheet A4, on the upper drawing, that indicates the post elevation. Whereas the former house was a 2.5-story house, this will be a 1.5-story house. So this is the first floor here. There'll be a covered front porch. There'll be an attic up on the upper level. It won't be a full second floor. It's just a half-story or an attic. These are the garages on the left side. And this is the back of the house. So the ground at the back of the house is lower, substantially lower than at the front of the house. The ground slopes around significantly around the left-hand side. The right-hand side, as you face the house, is a little more gradual. But this allows access from the backyard into this area over here. This would be a covered porch accessible from the kitchen and from the dining room. It's mainly utilizing the existing foundation. That was what we're doing here.
And Mike, in terms of the footprint of this building, you did take into consideration the other side setback and made adjustments to the plan, correct?
Yeah, well, that's correct. The other side, the left side is will conform. The side yard on the left, of the side of the house will conform. We're not increasing the right side any. We're keeping that where that. We're not bringing it any closer to the street, any forward back. We're actually utilizing the existing footprint, with the exception of the garages on the left-hand side of the house. We've actually taken it and swung it around slightly. Look at the site plan. Or even on the foundation plan, you can see the outline of the current garage built here, and the hatched line indicates the new garage foundation. And again, everything that's unshaded are existing foundation walls.
Again, for the record, these are all plans that have already been submitted to the board.
Correct. This is, and these drawings are dated February 4th this year.
Okay, to the board, I'll open it up. Do you have any questions of this applicant, this witness?
Yeah, I have a question for you, a couple actually. Number one, the reason for doing the garage the way you're doing it, rather than mimicking what was there before, was to get a 3-car, whereas the original was only a 2-car?
It's to get 3-car. The way the access is, it didn't work going around and coming back in. You come down the natural flow of the driveway, it rolls right into the garage by turning it. So it achieved the offset by not conflicting with the 100-foot, and it's a little more presentable when you come down the driveway.
Okay.
And the existing garage foundation was in incorporation.
Right. And the only other question I had too was, is there any future plans ever to finish the second level? Because you have a lot of dormers up there, shed dormer in the back and all these doghouse dormers in the front. I'm just curious if that was something that was going to happen at some point.
At this time, we don't have any reason to finish off, just my wife and myself and 2 dogs. So we don't have plans to utilize it, except that, you know, building a 1-story doesn't make sense, but a 1.5 stories, you know, if somebody did something down the road and rechange the roof or something, I guess they could.
Okay. I have a question. The lower level is a walkout.
It's a walkout existing right now.
Are there any immediate plans to finish that lower level, finish basement, finish bathrooms?
On the plan, there is a bathroom that was existing downstairs. I had all the plumbing under the slab cambered and run and flushed, and they're all running fine and no cracks or breaks. I plan on putting the bathroom, which is on the floor plan of the basement right now, so there's a bathroom down there, mainly for the pool area. When you come in, it's right off the back door there. That's where the existing one was. The actual tiles were still there when we bought. So we plan on bringing that back and just make a small bath and a place where you can come in and not have an outside pool house, which would be nice, but we don't have the topography for it.
Anyone else on the board? No, I'll open it up to the public. Anyone have anything that they would like to ask this witness? Seeing nothing? Say we're ready to have a resolution?
Paul, you have any comments?
Any other comments?
No, mine have been addressed, and Frank's letter as well, I think, was addressed by the testimony. I'll do a final look at the plans, and then we'll send it for signature.
Excuse me, one more question. Did you do any calculations on the floor area ratio for the lot?
Yes, it's actually well under, it's a large lot, it's over 500,000 square feet, and the house is going to be less than 1% of the floor area ratio. So it complies with the lot coverage, complies with building coverage, utilities coverage, floor area, and all the other yard requirements.
So our only variance is that side yard, so the setback inside 20 feet.
I can see.
Okay.
All right.
Andy on the curtain. If the board's inclined to approve this application, I'm generally not comfortable with money as a hardship. That's a dangerous road. I would suggest to the board, though, that you might be able to approve this as a C2 variance, which is the benefits of granting the application outweigh the detriment. I think based on the testimony, the board might be able to find that there would be a benefit in effect building off what's already there, not creating additional disturbance on the property, and also in clearing up what's obviously not a good condition. And in terms of the detriment, which you would have to find whether it's a hardship or a C2, look, a house existed there very recently without apparently causing any harm. So I think there is grounds for granting this as a C2 rather than a C1 financial hardship.
You want to make any further comment?
No, I agree. I mean, I think C2 fine. The hardship is mostly financial, but it's also disturbing the property. The topography of the land itself is difficult to place another foundation. I have no disagreement with that.
Okay.
All right, so then it would be a motion to approve the application granting the side yard setback variance, the usual conditions, also conditioned on compliance with any outstanding recommendations in Mr. Ferraro's January 30th report, conditioned on obtaining any other required governmental approvals, which in this case apparently is going to require compliance with the current code in terms of the septic, conditioned on lowering the chimney if required to comply with the ordinance height requirement, make that to the satisfaction of Mr. Ferraro. Anything else, Paul?
No.
That's all. Okay, we need a resolution, a motion, sorry.
Seconded.
Okay,
Mayor
roll call.
Metzger.
Aye.
Mayor Jacobs.
Aye.
Ms. Christie.
Aye.
Mr. Verdelius.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. DeGiovanni.
Aye.
Mr. Zupnik.
Aye.
And Ms. Petrus.
Aye.
Chairwoman Gutschall.
Aye,
Thank you.
thank you.
Congratulations.
Enjoy your home.
Good luck.
Welcome to town. That property's been in that condition for
Been blighted for 10 years.
Nice to see some. How many years?
15?
I thought it was longer than that.
Only 10?
10 years it's been down.
And that turned down?
Yeah, really?
No, I think I have you.
Yeah, apparently it did. Fire. No, me neither. Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Isn't this where you wanted to spend Valentine's Day, John?
Sort of feel out of place?
Yeah, a little bit.
You're on the wrong side of the diet.
A little bit. All right, so we're ready for the Christie application?
Yeah, you can imagine that.
I have a lot of questions.
Where's Dr. Nick when you need him?
For the record, Ms. Christie has left the dais.
Yes.
Would you like to swear us in?
Are you both testifying?
I think so, yeah, just in case.
All right, raise your right hands. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And state your full names for the record, please.
James Christie. I think you know how to spell it.
Yeah, we'll pass on that.
Before I start making our presentation, I have some exhibits up here, and which I guess we can call A1.
Yeah, what we usually do is, if it's identical to something the board already has,
It is.
you needn't separately mark it.
Okay.
But if it's different or colorized or not colorized,
This is colorized here, I just drew a line.
well, why don't we mark that?
Okay, this will be exhibit A1, which is the Siegel architect drawing of January 15th, I believe. Perfectly small. This is A1. And what I did, sorry, is I glued this up to make it.
Write A1 and today's date on it. And do you have multiple copies of that?
Yes, I do.
All right, if you can hold one, give me one, and pass the rest to the board.
Here.
Thank you. She needs one for the file. She needs one for the file.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
So this is A1.
Thank you.
Okay, well, as we said, good evening. We're Jim and Kathy Christie. We're 20-year residents of Bedminster, and we absolutely love this town. Like the previous applicants, for about the past 2 years, we've been looking for property to build a custom home for us for the next 30 years. We want to stay here. Our desire is to stay in Bedminster Township, where we continue to be part of a great town, great community, and we recently purchased, after a 2-year search, we found this property on Fairview Drive at 105 Fairview Drive for the purpose. What we're proposing to do is renovate the existing house, including construction of an addition to the first floor and connection of the residence to the existing detached garage, utilizing approximately half that detached garage as additional living space, which will be less intensive use of that space. We're further proposing to remove the existing wood deck and pavers, install a new rear patio, covered rear porch, walking paths, generator, 2 air conditioning units, and extend and pave the existing driveway, along with some other site improvements. All of which these improvements could be done without coming to Land Use Board if the existing structures were not originally built inside the setback area. Property currently contains a 2-story, 4-bedroom house with a 2-car attached garage, a separate detached 2-car garage, and a gravel driveway. The detached garage, shed, and house are all located within the side yard setback. The existing home is in bad shape, needs a significant renovation. In fact, the previous owner had been trying to sell the house for over 18 months and had to reduce the price significantly as the home is in poor condition. Furthermore, as we intend to use this home for the next 30 years, we see the need to modify the home for what we'll call one-floor living. The home will remain a 4-bedroom house. We're proposing to renovate the existing house by relocating the master bedroom and bathroom to the first floor. As we age, we don't want to be running up and down the stairs. We hope to salvage as much of the existing house as possible, including the foundation, the attached garage, the back wall, the detached garage, as well as split rail fences, patio, driveway, and the existing air conditioning unit. We're doing our best to be respectful of the setback area, but the pre-existing conditions are challenging. In terms of stormwater management, we're addressing that, which the needs, by putting in 2 dry wells on the property. We did invite all of the neighbors to meet with us about 10 days ago to see our plans, ask questions. We actually met with 7 of the 13 property owners within 200 feet of the property and had discussions with them. So what we're asking for is to update the home with a slightly higher ceiling, which would raise the back wall, to add 2 additional air conditioning units alongside the existing unit, and a generator, which is, it's different than the plan shown up there, but exists with the engineering plan, which was redrafted this morning. Because we realized suddenly we can move that generator further away from the property line by relocating it. The current air conditioning unit only cools the second floor, which is less than half of the entire existing house right now. So it's terribly underserved. Due to the proximity of the existing detached garage to the house, we're asking to tie it into the proposed house. One side of the detached garage will be used to store lawn and garden equipment. The other side is a home office for myself. I'm a financial advisor, but no clients come to my office, I go see them. Additionally, you should know the utility connections are already in place. We don't anticipate any changes with that. We will be drilling a new well to bring the house up to code. The existing 4-bedroom septic system is 6 years old and it passed inspection. We'll be bringing it up to the current code by installing an effluent filter. This has already been approved by the Board of Health. Why we feel that the enforcement of the current zoning, on this property is not necessarily practical. In order to comply with the current code, we would need to totally demolish all the structures, which would significantly add to the cost. Again, the house we're proposing to renovate complies with all codes, except for the fact that the pre-existing sections are inside the setback area. Also, the current home sits really on the most attractive section of the property. We believe moving the home will not be as attractive to the neighborhood. We're staying within the overall scope of the master plan, we believe that anyway, by asking for this variance. We looked at alternate designs, but they still require demolishing the entire foundation and structure and relocating the home. I'd also point out we're limited somewhat on how far we can relocate the home due to the septic field and the reserve area designated for that. We'll hope you approve our application. We're asking if the approval is effective, if it can be made effective tonight, so we can start our building permit process when we're ready. I'm happy to answer and entertain any questions you may have.
Could you just go over the setbacks again for
Sure,
us, Jim, so you can be specific as to
Thank you.
what they are?
On this, which is Exhibit A1, you see a red line. This is the R2 zone. It's a 35-foot setback. And so I think that red line to show you where the setback falls. So as you can see, the detached garage is virtually totally inside, within the setback area, as well as a good portion of the back wall and the attached two-car garage. So those are really the areas we're talking about.
This is almost not a variance application. Substantially all of what they're proposing appears to be on the other side of the house, where it doesn't violate any ordinance requirement. But because they're attaching the existing standalone garage to the dwelling, it changes the setback requirement. And although it's non-conforming now for an accessory structure requirement, the non-conformity technically increases because that structure now merges with the main structure, and it's a principal setback. But it's pretty innocuous, and if they didn't attach it, you could maybe make an argument that they don't even need a variance.
Actually, we would, because
What else are you doing? I'm trying to help you out.
Jim, what did they say? Jim. You didn't get along. You would have learned something there.
Yeah, right, lesson one.
I have you know, she wanted me to sit next to her the whole time, so I'm so. Again, I'm sorry.
for standing up.
Thank you.
But substantially all of the activity within the setback area consists of attaching the garage that's already there.
Right. I have a few questions.
Existing.
Going back to Paul quoted that ordinance about less than 50% of the value of the home. Does that apply here?
Yeah. It does, and they've been through the Board of Health for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
They do have the Board of Health rules.
So are your renovations going to be less than 50% of the value?
Oh, no.
No. So they're going to be greater than 50%?
Oh, yeah.
In terms of dollar value?
Yes.
So we did need to go to the Board of Health to get that approval. And
Yes.
we did that before we came here.
Okay. Can I ask another question?
Sure.
When was this detached garage built, so 12 feet off the property line? How old does that go
In the
back?
50s.
We believe, and from what I can see of records and in speaking with some of the neighbors, the structure was originally a cape with a garage, a detached garage behind it. And then in the 80s, the house was built that had an attached garage and extended out. But that detached garage apparently has been there for a long, long time.
I'm assuming that was a non-conforming situation
Well,
when it was built?
back in those days, the
They didn't
accessory
even
structure
consider it.
setbacks were far smaller.
Okay.
So I would guess it was probably a 10-foot setback at that point.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And the property adjacent to that,
Yes.
is there a home on that property?
Yes.
Are those people here tonight?
No, but they did come to a private open house. We just sat with them and talked about this. And we are going to put a lot more trees in, to buffer. Even though we're not really putting anything else back there, we agreed that we want more trees back there. They agreed they wanted trees, so we're going to put more trees. I personally have a question. If you can look at that, you can see that there's a fence on the neighbor's property.
Chain link fence.
A chain link fence.
With a barrier cloth or something, so you can't see
So
through it.
that chain link fence has been there for many, many, many years, and it is 8 feet tall. The town, the ordinance is now can only be 7 feet tall. Obviously, they don't take it down because it was built a while ago. If they chose to put an 8-foot, brand new 8-foot fence, the exact same dimensions that are there now, but to just update it, would they need to come to the land use board and go through all this? Or can they just replace the exact same measurements, but with something a little more modern?
That would be a Paul question.
That would, I'd have to go over that with the zoning officer and sort through that. I don't know. Again, I'm not going to give you the answer.
Okay.
Got to think about that a little bit.
Okay, I'm just thinking that it's on his property, it's not us, it's on his property. And I was just trying to help him out on that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to talk to Jeff.
So Jim, yes, the point about you talking and Kathy being there to stop you, so maybe that would be fair point to turn around that now. So good question, but not relevant to your application.
Right. This fence actually looks to me like it's on your property, no?
It's close, but no, it is,
It is.
we checked.
It is.
No, it's on their property.
It's on their
It is
property.
on their property.
Yes.
It says it's 5 and, or just under 5.5 feet out from your property line.
Correct. Correct.
Oh, I see the fence you're talking about. I see another fence, okay.
posted rail fence.
Yeah, I
That's,
see.
no, that's us.
Okay, I see the one you're talking about. I got it, okay. Paul, anything else?
No, there were a couple of comments I had in my earlier letter.
Yeah.
I believe they've been addressed in the plans that were resubmitted that you have that are dated today, that are handed out tonight. What I would ask is that the board hand those back in if you don't want them, because if then they're good enough, what I will do is I will have those signed, and so we're going to have to produce more copies and make more paper.
Okay, I got it. Mhm. All right. Okay, the board, any more from the board? Any more? No? Open it up to the public. Public have any questions you'd like? Come up here, please. Yeah, yeah. We'll help you out, just,
It'll make it harder on you because you have to be sworn in.
Hi, I'm Judy Krellman. I live at 120 30 Drive.
Can you raise your right hand, please?
Yeah, sure.
You swear that any testimony you're about to give will be the
When I
truth?
testify.
Well, this technically is testimony.
Oh, you asked for public
It's okay.
comments. Like that, when we made a public comment
Right.
about Trump's place, that's all we were doing is making a comment or a question.
She got sworn in too.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
You swear that any testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And state your full names for the record, please.
I'm Marie Hale, and I live at 81 Fairview Drive.
I'm Judy Krellman. I live at 120 Fairview Drive.
Okay.
Go
ahead.
So here's the thing. We're neighbors.
She's speaking for me.
And she wanted to come here and just ask some questions, but Mrs. Hill gets very nervous, so she asked me if it would be okay if I just said what her concerns were.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so she lives right next to them, and we went to the open house, and we're gonna be great neighbors. And, but the concern that Mrs. Hill has is that the storm water runoff, because they're gonna do an extension to the driveway, which is fine, but it's gonna be paved, and every time something happens to the house, we've both lived in our houses a very long time. Every time that happens to that house, like when it was an old little tiny house, and then suddenly it became a big house because, well, I don't know if anybody knows the history, but it happened because of fire and all this kind of stuff, and suddenly it was a huge house, and they chopped down all these trees, and the water under her property increased. And then they put the septic in, and there's a nice big mound there, but anything that runs off of that goes to her property. And there's gonna be, and we talked to the Christies about this when we all met, and there's gonna be now another paved driveway coming down onto the downhill part of Fairview Drive, which, and there is piping, septic piping, sewer piping, and that helps the water, but because the configuration of that side of the road has changed, the water, and this I've actually seen, when it comes down the side of her driveway and/or out of the road, through the cracks in the road, it literally collects and runs across the base of her driveway, to the point that all winter long, except right now when it got nice and warm, there is an ice patch there, a huge ice patch that bottom of her driveway out into the road. I know this because I've walked my dog and slipped and fallen on it. And you've fallen on it. I think that you broke your wrist on it. So the concern she has is, and we've asked the Christies this, we were talking to Jim Christie about it, he's having an engineer help him to apparently do the driveway, this new section of driveway, and have it drain into the sewer pipe, the stormwater sewer drain pipe. And she would like permission, or whatever you want to call it, or have somebody come and look at it from the town and from their engineer to fix the configuration at the bottom of the driveway. Because what's happened is there used to be a culvert there. So on their side of the road, there was like a ditch, maybe before there was a pipe. And then there was a pipe underneath her driveway. And the ditch opened up into this little culvert, and then all the water ran under her driveway and then continued down, and it was great. And then as the road got paved over the years, that ditch was filled in and they put piping in and they completely covered it up. And now the storm drain is about 3 feet, 4 feet up from her driveway. So the water that comes off of the property and from wherever else comes down along the side of her driveway, and where it used to just go right into this culvert, this big open ditch, and under her driveway, now it just flows right across her driveway. So my understanding is, and our understanding is that the Christie's engineer is, when he paves their driveway, is going to tap into the storm sewer system. And she would just like, Mrs. Hill would just like the opportunity for their engineer and or the town's engineer or Public Works or whatever, whoever paved the road, to work together to stop this, because that, no matter what goes into the storm system, there's going to be water coming down the driveway. It has to. And that's fine. She just wants to keep it out of the bottom of her driveway, because there's already so much there. And now that if they're tapping into it there, she's just saying, why can't, correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm listening.
Okay. Why can't she be allowed, use his engineer, whatever it is, to tap into her driveway too? Because then that would solve the problem. Because I have personally witnessed it, and it is unbelievable. If you ever go up there when it's icy, it's unbelievable. It's like the only driveway that has this huge thing of ice in front of it, and it's very.
I understand. I think I understand. Paul, what do you suggest on this?
Well, I think the issue that exists out there today is completely unrelated to this application. That doesn't mean it's not a problem, but that's a problem I think that needs to be addressed separately and distinct from this application. As it relates to this application, their proposal requires the installation of dry wells and the management of the stormwater for the increased impervious surfaces, and doing that in the right way. I think the problem that you have is something that needs to be addressed with the Public Works Department and myself, and we'll go out there and look at it. This is the first time I've heard of the problem. If we don't hear about the problems, we don't know how to go out to fix them. But I'll reach out to the Public Works
Paul, let me just interject on that. So this issue was brought to my attention last week. And I did speak with John Mance from Public Works. John went out to the site, did a site inspection. He looked at just exactly the issues, Ms. Krillman and Mrs. Hill, that you had identified. And John will be talking to Paul, and at whatever time that Mr. Christie and Mrs. Christie's engineer works with DPW to make that connection, our Bedminster DPW will work with Paul to see if there's some fix that could be done to accommodate the situation at the end of your driveway.
Thank you. That would be excellent. Okay.
Thanks for letting us all know.
Yeah, thank you so much,
Good
guys.
stuff.
That's great.
That's how stuff gets done.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Okay.
It does work.
Anything else from the public? Seeing nothing, we'll continue. Paul, anything else? I think you satisfied everything you said?
Right, I just have to do a final look at the plans.
Okay.
I looked at them briefly today. I did, at first glance, it looked fine, I just need your final letter. If you're okay, then, like I said, I'll collect all the plans tonight, and we'll use those for signature.
Okay.
And my understanding, your request is that you'll be able to move forward with your construction permits once those plans are revised satisfactorily, before the resolution is in order.
Yes, that's correct. We may not have them ready at the time, but in case we do, we just like to start.
And the board has routinely done that.
Yes, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, well,
Okay, if
Talk
there's
about
nothing
a
else, it
resolution?
would be a motion to approve the application, granting the side yard setback variance, in addition to the usual conditions on taxes and escrows and other agency approvals. We'd be a little more specific in terms of compliance with the current health code. They may already have that approval on the septic. Compliance with any outstanding recommendations in Mr. Ferraro's report of February 1st to his satisfaction. Review of final plan by Mr. Ferraro to his satisfaction. And if that all works, they're asking the board to authorize what's sometimes called waiving the reading of the resolution, which would allow them to immediately apply for a building permit. Once Mr. Ferraro gives the go-ahead, the applicant understands, I assume, that if you do that, it's completely at your own risk if somebody decides to challenge the approval and you start work on it.
Sure. But the resolution they will do next month.
David, you were drafting that as a C1 or C2?
I think you can do this one as a C1 because it's not really a money. I mean, as a practical matter, to make this application fully compliant, you got to rip out part of what's there and build something on the other side. I think that's a little different than the last one, where the argument was, oh, I'm going to have to spend a lot of money if I build there instead of here, because in that case, although there was a foundation, there really wasn't a house there. Here you're working with an existing house.
Right, then when it's completely demoed, right.
So
Or
I
that,
think you
or
can do it
it
as
was
a
just,
C1.
better testimony here.
You can do it as C1 or 2.
Yeah, until he started talking, exactly.
But I'm fun.
She warned me.
Yeah, do we need two separate resolutions, or just the one?
Just the one.
Just the one,
If
okay.
you, if you want, I can try to write it up where it qualifies under either one.
No, I mean, just, okay. All right, so we need a motion?
Motion approved.
Any second?
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, roll call.
Committeeman Hickey?
Aye.
Mayor Jacobs?
Aye.
Ms. Christie?
Recuse herself. Recuse.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. DeGiovanni?
Aye.
Mr. Zupnik?
Aye.
Ms. Petrus? Aye. And Chairwoman Gutschall?
Aye,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yep, congratulations.
Can't wait to
Good
have a
luck.
cocktail at your new bar.
Oh, yeah. She gotta go back to work.
Paul, what papers did you want then?
Is there the red line?
This place, the big one.
The big one.
The big site plan.
Never look at this first.
All right.
And if Joe is in here, playing this morning.
He's happy with it.
Right.
Just wrecking the place, it's okay.
Congratulations.
Very good presentation. Up until the point you had to grab him.
Talk himself right out of it.
All right.
What did they say about lawyer with a kid who's himself as a
Sorry, I guess we need to make.
When the judge tells you you're fine, you sit down and shut up.
One of the big rules as a lawyer, when it's going your way, sit down.
Anybody want one?
Oh, and when the deal is closed, stop talking.
I just didn't realize the deal was
Yeah, we did.
Very good.
Another chance, anybody? Ready? Ready for the
Only I
cookie?
could.
Ready for
Oh,
the
no,
cookie?
thank you.
No?
I could raise that.
All right.
No, exactly.
Okay. What's next?
Yeah, we need to do 305. Not yet. We have one more thing. Okay, Paul, we want to talk about this country club?
Yes, I see it's listed under here under the Board of Adjustment. I believe it's a planning board application.
I think so, too.
It's a conventional preliminary and final major subdivision with complying lots.
Yeah.
So that would be a planning board application. Your call, March 7th, March 14th. I would leave it up to you.
now,
I would say the 7th.
That's the only thing on the docket.
It's the only
Uh-huh. Well, let's do the
application
7th. March 7th.
Seven.
And,
We'll have to advise them right away, make sure they can do the notices and that sort of thing.
okay. And they have everything else in, Paul, for that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Did we know who the owner of that property is? I tried to look it up and find out.
I don't recall.
You don't remember?
It's an
Curious,
LLC.
Mark.
They did come before the Board of Health.
Correct, yeah.
They did?
So Colin was at that meeting. He
Mhm.
probably talked about it.
Yeah, they came in, I think, October, November timeframe. I just don't recall the applicant's name.
Mhm. That's where the
The Kirby property, that was the solar.
solar panel
Last thing I
property.
saw was a solar application.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
This
that
is
property.
Yeah.
much nicer. Much nicer.
You want to subdivide it?
Yeah. 6 lots, wasn't it? 6
That's about
lots?
6 residential lots.
Yeah.
Close to 100 acres.
6 lots.
It's more than that.
It's a big spot.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it. So we need a motion to adjourn. Now you can do it. We saved it for you, Kathy. Okay? All right. All adjourned.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
What?
Need a second.
Need a second?
I did.
Thank you.
I couldn't help myself.
Okay. Thank you. John, Board of Health and Land.
You survived. No worse for wear and tear.